All right, this is the second video for my YouTube channel. This is one of my favorite videos so far that I have wrote the script for. It's about how to overhead press. I basically consider this my specialty. This is my favorite thing to do in the gym, and it's one of the movements I consider the most important. So I'm really glad you're here watching this video, and make sure you listen really closely because if you get this movement down, you will be extremely successful in the gym compared to the average gym goer. And yeah, this movement is incredible. So now I'm gonna do my best to explain the techniques and the form in general for beginners. All right, so now I'm gonna start. The first thing, just like the bench press, is the hands. You need to know where to put your hands on the barbell as you're starting, and you need to take into account just the one main factor is that you want your forearms to be vertical for the press, obviously to maximize force output and to make the movement efficient. And one of the things while you're doing this to keep in mind, a cue, is that your triceps should be packed into your lats like this. You're basically, obviously, your triceps should be resting on your lats. You should feel like a cannon that's about to shoot, like a loaded gun with the spring compressed. It should be like that. And moving forward, the barbell should be resting below your collarbone. And so now I'm just going to talk about some cues before we move on. Your feet should not be narrow. They can be wide, but your feet should not be too narrow. I recommend your squat stance or slightly wider if you're a narrow stance squatter. But yeah, your feet can be really wide, but it's obviously not practical. But your feet can be really wide, but your feet should not be too narrow. They should at least be shoulder width. You should lean back slightly while you do this movement, and then when you get to the top, you straighten out. This is it's like clockwork. It's perfect. You want to make sure you're squeezing your butt the whole time. This is extremely important. It will add 10 pounds to your movement. Remember to squeeze your glutes as you do this movement, while at the same time, you don't have to do this, but don't try and lock your knees super hard because this movement is very difficult, and you might like literally pass out because of the lack of oxygen in your head. And if you're locking your knees, you're literally might lose consciousness. So don't lock your knees too hard. Maybe keep them a little bouncy, but it's not necessary if you're only going to be spending 20 seconds under the barbell anyways. Breathing is extremely important in this. I forgot to talk about this in my bench press video, but obviously the Salvello maneuver. You want to take a big breath right before you start. Hold it in and brace your belly. And in terms of breathing, you never want to breathe in the middle of this movement. You only want to breathe when the barbell is at the top of the movement. You want to be holding your breath when it's coming down, and you want to slightly exhale when it's coming up. If you don't exhale when it's coming up, your head might hurt, but it's not entirely necessary, but I recommend it. It's also the similar for deadlifts. Moving on, we're going to talk about bar path. Obviously, it starts here. And then you obviously, it is to clear your chin. That's quite obvious. And then once it goes over your head, then you want to push your head forward. And then you really want to emphasize pushing the barbell kind of backwards. It might sound weird, but it really works for balance. You don't just want to go straight up. You want to push it as far back as you can. Trust me, your shoulders are not going to break. You're probably not going to fall backwards. But you want to emphasize the push backwards. This is absolutely great. But yeah, obviously, clear out with your chin and then push your head through as soon as possible. In terms of the overhead press, obviously we just talked about the Salvello maneuver, taking a big breath in. For this movement, I highly recommend wearing a belt. I think it's more critical than the bench press for health and safety reasons. But yeah, it would also obviously add 10 pounds to your lift. I highly recommend the weightlifting belt. For this movement though, I always recommend you pause the barbell on your chest. It's different from the bench press where touch and go is okay for volume work. It's not a problem. But for the overhead press is a movement of pure pressing strength. I require that you pause the barbell for ideally a second, not a quarter second like the bench press, a full second for each rep. And this will be absolutely fantastic for your shoulder strength and size. I highly recommend you pause every rep for this overhead press. Speaking about anything else, I've almost covered everything. Unracking the barbell, Many YouTube channels will claim you should just get under the bar first and tighten up and get ready. I think this is useless. I think you should be holding the barbell, take your breath, and then get under it as fast as possible, and then walk it out 2 steps back like a squat. I do not think you should be spending time bending over with your knees under the barbell. This will make you unnecessarily tired. So yeah, just do it as fast as possible. Unlike a squat where you want to probably take a good 5 to 10 seconds to take your time. Anything else? And hardly. Yeah, suicide grip is slightly better for this movement. Obviously, a cue. If you pull your hands outwards with the barbell, it will be great for stability. And anything else to say is this movement is fantastic, and I highly recommend you do it just as much as you bench press. For all of you out there who want to bench 225 2 plates for the first time, just know that 1 plate 135 of this movement for 5 reps should be equivalent to 1 rep of 2 plates on the bench press. So it's like 2 goals to aim for at the same time. And yeah, this movement is fantastic. And thank you for watching this video. Yeah, I'll be making more videos soon. Thank you.